Hey, everybody. Happy Wind Down Wednesday. It is officially Wind Down Wednesday. It is halfway through the week. I don't know where you guys are, but where I am, it's kind of gross out and it's kind of rainy. Ugh, it's gross. So, cheers. Happy Wind Down Wednesday. Mm. I hope you have your favorite beverage and you are joining me tonight with just kind of a fun, open mind. I had this really cool thing I wanted to talk to you guys about, not super about Mary Kay, kind of just about something else I heard. I'm kind of trying to figure this out. Okay. So I was listening to this really good podcast. And I'm kind of obsessed with podcasts. If you guys love a podcast, drop it below because I would love to see what podcasts you guys listen to because I just love them to pieces. I love them when I walk. I love them when I'm in the car. I'm not in the car as much anymore. It kind of stinks, but I just love podcasts. They're so fun. They're just like reading for me. You kind of think a new thought. And so this was my new thought. The podcast was all about failure and all about the fear of failure. And I was like, okay, I get that because I don't like to fail. Like failing is not even an option in my mind. But there's this really interesting fear of failure, right? Like the fear of not even doing it, not even trying something because you're so paralyzed by that fear of failure. Okay. So that's kind of what this podcast was about. And it was talking about what you can learn from failure. And it was talking about how you can like ask yourself questions to get to find what you're learning through the failure. So it's a really good podcast. Anywho, so she gave this idea, and I'm going to show this about this is like the rough. This is like my notes. This is rough. So right here, I'm going to try and in the middle is your comfort zone. Okay. So that's the middle. That's your comfort zone. And in your comfort zone, you're very comfortable. You know exactly what to expect. Nothing scary. It's all done before. You've done it before. You know, everything's kind of already done in the and you understand it, you know what to expect. It's comfortable. And then what most people do is they try something. Let's say they try something and they fail or they perceive failure. That's another thing. Perception of failure. Like, what are you perceiving failure to be? Okay. So I'm going to do a couple of examples in a second, but you fail. Let's just keep it really basic. You fail. So you go to the right over here. See, you go to the right, you hit failure. So you're like, okay, well, that's not failure or that's not the right place. So let me go back to the middle. You go back to comfort and then you go to the left and you go to the left and guess what? You fail. And so you're like, oh, that's not right either. Okay, let me go back to the center. And now I'm going to go up north. I'm going to go to the top. And so you go up here. And guess what? It's failure. And then you're like, well, crap, it must be the last one. It must be down below. So you go to the middle to your comfort zone and you go down below and you hit failure. And so everywhere you go now, you have hit failure, right? And so here's what I want you to remember. And this is what the whole podcast was about, which was just so great. It was the fact that failure is going to be everywhere because failure is a circle. And until you break through that circle, through that failure to that next level, you're going to keep hitting failure. And so you have to learn something from it so that you can go through failure and you can go to the next level, whatever that is. In this graphic, it was learning. And then from learning, you go through learning and then you go to growth. And it was just so interesting to think about. So now I'm going to like kind of relate it back to Mary Kay. So let's say you want to try something new. You want to try a side gig. You want to just try something, but you're afraid you're going to fail. One, how many times do we overthink things as women? Oh my goodness. I swear, I think my brain is just like constantly moving, right? And I'm constantly thinking like, does this make sense? Does this work? Is this going to be a good idea? And so if you're starting something new, which is very unknown to you because it's brand new, then there's going to be a fear of failure. What if I don't? What if I don't do very well? What if I fall flat on my face? What if I just am not good at this? So there's always going to be a fear of failure, but are you going to let that stop you? Okay. So if your goal, if you want, let's say, to make extra money, let's just give that as an example. You want to do something on the side to make some extra money. You want to focus on the potential of what that's going to bring. You don't, it's not a guarantee. We know that. But you want to focus on the potential because the potential is going to move your brain forward in the get the to the excitement phase, get to the okay, let's try it phase. Because what's the worst that's going to happen? I'm going to use again Mary Kay for an example. Nothing. What's the worst that can happen is that you get a great new group of girlfriends, but Mary Kay doesn't work out for you. So guess what? You just stop, or you get a really great wholesale discount. Maybe you don't want to sell to people. That's okay, but you get a great wholesale discount. Okay. So that's just an example because whatever that perception of failure is, let's say you have a party, a virtual party, and it isn't what your expectation is. It's not at that expectation that you thought it would be. Is that a failure? I don't think so. Because what that is it's a stepping stone, it's a stepping block. So you can utilize that example in anything. Let's say, you're in school and you took a test, but you didn't do that expectation, that level of the test that you thought you were going to get. Let's say you only got like a 75 or an 80 and you expected to get a 95. I mean, is it a failure? No. What are you going to do? You're going to learn from it. You're going to ask yourself why, what questions did I get wrong? Maybe I could study differently. Maybe I could focus on those better. Maybe I can get a tutorer. I mean, this is all so relevant to any situation. So you're in your comfort zone. You hit failure right here. Are you going to go back down? No. You're going to push through the failure. Okay. You've got to push through that failure to hit that next realm of learning. And then from learning, like I said, you're going to go to growth. So you're going to ask yourself, I wrote a couple notes just because I wanted to remember this. It's necessary for failure in order to achieve greatness. So failure is always necessary to achieve greatness. Think about a child walking. How many times did they fall? Like 8,000 million. And they never gave up. They never said, oh, this walking, it's not for me. Can't do that anymore. No, no, no. They just got back up. So it's like that innocence of a child to just say, I want this. Oh, I'm going to put my pen down. I want this. I know this is going to be a good thing for me. It might not feel good right now because it's so new, but I know it's going to be good. So let's just go for it. Let's try it. Maybe give yourself a timeline. Maybe say, hey, I want to try it for 3 months. Maybe say I want to try it for 6 months or a year, and see how it goes. Reevaluate after that time, because that's a really good idea too. Because then when you reevaluate, you can see what's going great, what's not going great. Am I enjoying this? Is this bringing me joy to my life? What I find in Mary Kay, which is so cool, is that women come in for one thing and they end up staying for about 5 other reasons. So maybe they come in because they just think they want to make some extra money, but they stay because they're making extra money. They've got this tribe of women who are so excited to cheer them on. They've learned something about themselves, about their personality, about what makes them tick. Because we do a lot of great personality work and just continuing like growth work. They find something that they can attach to. So like, for instance, one of the things that I love most about this right now, since we're in this pandemic, is I love the community we can create online. You guys are a perfect example of this. Thank you for joining me. This is the community that we get to create. And without this, it wouldn't be as connected. You wouldn't feel as connected. You wouldn't have had this to do this tonight. You wouldn't have been like, oh, I'm going to check on Facebook or YouTube and see what's happening with Mary Beth. See what this Wind Down Wednesday is all about. Cheers, Wind Down Wednesday. So, I mean, I think it's just we create something, we create a community, we create a conversation. And I think that's so cool because not everybody else in the world, from what I see, is burnt out from Zoom and online. But here we get to create something that's really exciting and really positive. Okay. So, we're moving through failure, we're learning through failure, we're learning through the experience, and we are learning what to kind of pivot and what to change. I hate pivot. Oh my gosh, we've used pivot so much in the past 13 months, haven't we? I mean, everything. It's like, oh, how are you doing? Well, we pivoted. I hate that word now, that phrase. I'm like, oh my gosh, enough with the pivoting. So, anyways, so success is one of these directions, but we're just continuing on with the direction. We're not turning around. We're not backtracking. We're not going the other way. We're just following through with what we've been doing, the plan we've been doing. There might have been a little snafu. There might have been a little perceived failure. I don't think you actually fail at something until you stop, because I think that we have such an idea of what failure can be. Sometimes it's not even that much of a failure. We're kind of hard on ourselves, don't you agree? Like sometimes it's just we're really hard on ourselves, and it's just a stepping stone, like I said, to that next step. So, anyways, that's my little like. Thank you for coming to Mary Beth's TED Talk today. So to circle back, Winston Churchill, I posted that beautiful quote, said, "Success is not final, failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts." And so we want to continue through. We want to continue through that failure or perceived failure. We want to continue through that little rough patch. We want to continue to push through to that learning position and past that to a growth position. We want to continue to build it, whatever it is. And if for some reason you are looking for some fun side gig, extra money, want to be a part of something bigger, want to be a part of a pink Cadillac unit in the making, hit me up. Hit your consultant up because I'm sure she would love to talk to you about it. That's my wind down Wednesday for today. Not really anything about products, because yesterday, I don't know if you guys caught this, but yesterday I had a glam slam and I talked about all of the fun products. So if you want some great product info, scroll back through and follow that glam slam for a Zoom tips for your makeup. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. If you love this, tag a friend. Have a great day. Cheers.